I discovered that my wife had been cheating on me for some time. I have images, text messages, and call logs to prove it. My wife has no idea that I know she's been having an affair, and she has no idea that I've contacted a lawyer and will have my preliminary appointment next week since I have no idea how to begin navigating this issue, the procedure, asset division, custody arrangements, and so on. Some context. We've been married for 8 wonderful years, but our relationship has been deteriorating in recent months. We've spoken about the status of our marriage and specific areas we're both dissatisfied with or would like to see change. Despite the fact that we've both been really busy with work, I recommended marriage counseling, and we decided to explore it in a few months. After a few months, I discovered that my wife has been cheating on me with a mutual acquaintance. Let's call him Mason. Mason is also married to Harper, a friend of my wife's. The most difficult aspect of all of this is pretending I don't know and that everything is okay. We have 2 lovely children, 6M and 3F. I have too much self-esteem to stay in it for the kids. And I honestly don't think this marriage is salvageable. I'm concerned about them and what's to come, which is why I've been hesitant to pull the trigger. Despite my rage and hatred, and as much as I want to go up in her face and scream and kick my ex-friend Mason, I am remaining cool and level-headed for the purpose of a clean divorce for my children. Despite this, my wife and I have plans to celebrate Christmas with Mason and Harper in a few weeks. According to the messages I have, Harper has no notion about Mason and has no concept what's going on right in front of her. She is still madly in love with Mason and is displaying all of her adoration while he pulls away. My wife's parents, my in-laws, will keep the kids so that we may go out to supper. Here are my ideas for blowing this up. While we're getting ready to head for supper with my in-laws, say something along the lines of, "I'm worried this dinner might be a tad awkward with you cheating on me with Mason." Make a snide remark like, "I hope this dinner won't be too awkward with you two cheating on us when we arrive." Do nothing, get a lawyer. There will be no drama. Simply serve her with papers. What are your opinions, Reddit? In your opinion, is a major blowout worth it? As much as I want to, my intuition tells me, control yourself, don't do this, your time will come. Update, I published this piece less than 24 hours ago, and I had no idea it would garner so much attention. Thank you to everyone who has responded, shown support, and provided sound advice, as well as those who want to watch the world burn, and have shared some fantasies about how to blow things up with my wife, Mason, and Harper. I appreciate everyone. Deep down, I was using this more to vent since I know that staying cool and respectful is the best strategy, but I wanted to enjoy these dramatic dreams to keep myself in control. This week is my preliminary consultation with my lawyer. In the meanwhile, I'll continue to study and educate myself on divorce and state-specific intricacies, begin exercising, and most importantly, continue to be a great father to my lovely children. I won't keep you in the dark since I appreciate juicy Reddit updates just as much as you do. That being said, I must exercise caution and avoid putting myself in jeopardy online. When the time comes, I'll publish an update. Update: unsure how to face an unfaithful wife. This is probably not the post most, if not all, of you are expecting, but here it is. We promise to attempt to make amends. There was a lot covered in the first piece, so I'll attempt to break it down into chunks, and if there are any questions, I'll either answer them in the comments or make changes as needed. This was a costly but worthwhile consultation. I was revved up and ready to go into the meeting with a million questions. Instead, the lawyer seized over and presided over the gathering. She bombarded me with questions about my marriage, my home situation, and how I ended myself here. She went over all of the important aspects of divorce and answered all of my questions. Her advice was to go home, tell my wife I knew about the affair, and then take it from there. She strongly cautioned against filing the move behind her back, having her pay placed into a different bank account, canceling her credit card, and so on. She told me that in her experience, such actions, even if justified, simply irritate the other side. Finally, regardless matter how this issue plays out, she advised me to consult a therapist. Yes, I attended to the dinner this past weekend, and it was as embarrassing for me as you would imagine. If you couldn't tell from my previous remarks, I wasn't intending to have a big dinner confrontation. My intentions would have been thwarted even if I had wanted to since a third couple friend joined us. Everyone else looked to be having a good time, and I managed to keep my cool. It was weird, and I wish I could go home the entire night, but I made it. I heeded Reddit's advice and began exercising to release my energies and emotions. It was quite beneficial. I spent the whole time between my last post and this past weekend stewing in my own thoughts. bottled up my own feelings and doing very nothing to process it. I only had one day of heavy drinking. I purposefully avoided drinking since I know it can be a slippery slope and the start of a bad addiction. Plus a few beers at dinner with Mason and Harper. Can you blame me? The evening of the meal was especially terrible. I hadn't gotten much sleep in the days leading up to that night because I was cognitively fatigued from job, emotionally exhausted from this scenario, and physically exhausted from working out a lot. Coupled with a few cocktails at dinner, I was beginning to doubt my own sanity. At one point, I couldn't help but wonder whether the affair was real. My wife was treating me like she did in the good old days at dinner. Everyone was smiling and having a nice time, and I began to wonder if my wife and Mason ever slept together. Several occasions to keep myself grounded, I went to the toilet and looked at the text screenshots. Despite having seen the letters with my own eyes, I sometimes wondered if they were real. This is most likely the least dramatic section of the narrative. Saturday night, we had supper. After the kids were sleeping on Sunday night, I decided to approach my wife. We were watching TV on the couch. I asked her how she felt about our relationship, where it was going, and so on. She brushed it off and provided brief responses. I said that since we've been married for 8 years, we should be honest and truthful with one another. I kept asking whether emotional disconnection was all there was to it, and she confirmed it. We'd gone around in circles 3 or 4 times before I informed my wife about her and Mason. She was starting to reject or dismiss things at this time. Yeah, Mason always hangs out with Harper and I, she responded, or what do you mean you know about Mason and I? I continued trying to get it out of her, but I finally had to say, I know you're sleeping with Mason, to which she replied, what makes you think that? I continued stressing that I'm not stupid and that I understand what's going on. I told her details that only she and Mason would know, such as when and where they met, based on text conversations. She was still curious as to what made me believe that. In those moments of denial and gaslighting, I found myself raising my voice and cursing, while still aware of the kids asleep. I informed her about all of the text messages I received and how I received them. She was immediately struck with shame and guilt at this time. She shed a lot of tears in the end. She acknowledged that she is not proud of what she'd done and is rather embarrassed of it. There were many things stated. Yeah, I was never blamed for anything. She claimed she'd inform me in the new year, which I'm not really certain about. I assumed she wanted to save Christmas for the children, but given how difficult it was for me to get a confession from her, I also doubt it. This talk featured several passionate exchanges, but it was far more calm and sensible than any of us could have imagined. My wife and I both worked from home today. We talked after dropping the kids off at school. We discussed several reasons why we should and should not stay together. Finally, we examined the previous year and analyzed it to see where we went wrong. We resolved to give it another attempt and at the very least try to mend things, with the awareness that nothing is certain. I have some significant trust difficulties that I might not be able to overcome. There are some underlying difficulties in our marriage that we hope to resolve, but who knows whether we will. Are we insane to attempt this? Possibly, but the romantic in me hopes we finally get our hallmark ending. As for Mason and Harper, my wife has called it quits with Mason, telling him she would not be speaking to him, and requesting that he not contact her either. In terms of Harper, my wife agreed that notifying her was the right thing to do. I requested her to video call me and told her the bad news. She was stunned and in disbelief. I showed her some of the documents on my computer. She began shrieking, "Why would you do this to me?" and so on. She ultimately burst into tears. They've been in a pretty poor position for a long time, so I think she was more disturbed by the fact that Mason was cheating on her with her buddy, my wife, since she's losing not just her spouse, but also a friend. My wife hasn't spoken with Harper yet, but she intends to contact her in a day or two when she's had some time to reflect. I suppose it goes without saying that the friendship is over. I believe Mason and Harper will file for divorce. Normally, I'd like to be a fly on the wall in a room where a dramatic discourse is taking place, but I'm ready for this to be over and done with. I don't expect much interaction, if any, between my wife and me, as well as Mason and Harper. This is most likely the final update. I'm a sucker for a juicy update just like you. But Reddit, I'm exhausted and I'm hoping to get some much-needed sleep tonight. Thank you for listening to the story to the end, and if you like it, please support us with a like as well as subscribe to our channel. Write in the comments what you think about the story.